Okay, my friends, most of you have seen the dragon and the fish in Morocco. The Atlas Mountains is the dragon. Go look, and the fish is just below it. And it's always recorded throughout history. All of these things are talking about this stuff. It's not something that they didn't know about, and they maybe didn't know exactly what happened there and who attacked the fish, but they know something attacked the fish. And that's what I can see. Now, I'm going to go into that, and we're going to get into what I think how all this crazy stuff happened. How did these creatures come about? And where did they originate? And how could they eat? And how could they breathe? You know, I get all these questions. I don't have answers for these things specifically, but I think I have a couple of clues now. Now, I'm going to go through the fish and the dragon, and again, extensively, so that people who haven't seen it yet are going to see it. So if you've already seen it, jump over it, that's fine. Towards the end, I'm just going to make a couple of last statements, that's all. Thank you. Okay, my friends, planet Earth as we know it, and Africa as we know it, and a giant fish as we did not know it. However, it certainly appears to be a gigantic fish as they had talked about in the ancient days, and that is the scales of the fish, and that is his fin, and that's what looks like a fish to me. Now, they've always shown it as a dragon attacking the fish in the coins and so forth, and sure enough, I see a dragon right there, and it is spitting something on that dragon's fin that really has invaded its flesh and everything. See down here? That's the flesh of the giant fish. And that stuff coming out of that dragon's throat is just terrible, nasty. And that's it right there. And it looks like some of the worst toxic venoms that exist from venomous snakes. Now, what about the dragon? Well, it's a dragon. Now, what is all this stuff? Well, that is what happens when a dead body leaches out its bodily fluids. And that's what it is right there. Any coroner will fully understand that that is the effluent that just vaporizes out of dead bodies. And the black and the red is the blood. Now, of course, there's going to be bodily fluids, but you know, it just has that way of sort of creating these patterns around. And the longer the thing's been there, the bigger the pattern would be. And these don't seem to be all that big in my world. They don't, I don't know. I'd have to talk to a coroner. But this is a creature. Look at the size of this creature. It starts here. I mean, it's absolutely enormous. The neck goes all the way down here. These are the legs. And the tail, if you follow it, see, that would be like a jet fighter going about 1,000 times the speed of sound. And there's the end of the tail. It's 1,100 miles away. And here, of course, again, is the effluent running off of it because it's also has bodily fluids in there. And if you look at it had gigantic red wings, and if you look down real close at a lot of this, you're going to find that there's patterns down here that you really can't justify as they're from. Let me see, I have to find, all right, like over here, see right here? This you wouldn't think was necessarily from sand dunes, not in my world. And you can see it's quite obvious that this is some form of skin or something. But it's no question that is not. You know, I say, oh, Roger, you're just guessing. No, I'm not. You don't get this pattern from anything other than biology. And it's over here too. And it's everywhere. If you go around and you look for this kind of pattern, you go to Saudi Arabia and places like that, it's all got the same stuff. This was some kind of tissue. It's not just, you know, sand piling up here and there. Just like geologists, we're trying to talked to a geologist that actually said he did work over here, and there's nothing there, that's just all natural. I said, how can you possibly believe that? Can you look into this, the neck and and all the structure, and just look at the parades, and just go to China and look at the parade. There it is right there, same guy. And look at the dragon in the throat. This is the throat now, and actually that is called Draco or something. It's dragon in Moroccan or whatever their language is over there, Arabian, and that's what this. It's called the Dragon River. So that's what I was told. Now, and these are the dragon scales next to the Dragon River. Who could possibly argue with that logically and say, oh no, that's all just normal? Just happened by erosion and all. You know, it's always erosion or volcanoes, one or the other. I mean, to me, that's dragonism right there. That has nothing to do with volcanism, that had nothing to do with erosion, nothing to do with sedimentation, nothing to do with anything other than dragonism. Now, this is an interesting spot right here, because this is a slash of a throat. And all it talks about is the dragon being attacked by the dragon attacking the fish. However, there is a story in the Bible that says somebody was going to come along and cut the dragon's throat. And I followed this all the way down through this, and it goes into the digestive system down here. And I mean, it's amazing. It's an avian creature. It has a cloaca. And that's just a fact. Now, I would say that changes a lot of things in our history. You can just laugh at it and say, oh, that's nice, and it's a big, a lot of people just take this as something, like spectacular or just exciting, and it is. But there's a lot more here that I am taking away from this. My whole deal here is to try to understand where this is my life. This is where I'm going. This is my life. And to my life, I want to see if I can get out of this thing in a good way. If there's a good and bad way, I don't know. But now I think, I made my decision. And I say I know. You could say you know. Anybody can say whatever they want. I don't really have anything to do with what you think, other than I am presenting the evidence that supports the reason for my thinking. And other than that, I just go about my business. But I do know, and this is going to sound like crazy, but I do know this is important for me to do this, that this is a job that I've been sent to do. It's not like I'm any special person or anything. It's just that, you get, somebody's got to stand up, and it just happened to be me. And, if you think that you're special, if you get that happen to you, well, let me tell you something. You're special, because it's going to be a tough road that you're going to be walking down to present anything against anybody. I mean, seriously. You walk in your house and say everything you know is wrong. It does not work out well. So I get a lot of time to do research, so that worked out for me. And this is just the way it had to be. I was set up from the day I was born to do this. I can tell you that right now. Now, Herodotus has a bunch of passages about these events, about giants and dragons and snakes, and how the ibis killed them and kept them from attacking. I mean, absolutely fabulous stories. And you can see, there's no question that it's some kind of dragon thing attacking a fish. That's some kind of, it looks like a lion, but I don't even know if they would know what attacked what. But the stories would have come down, and think, well, maybe it wasn't you know what I mean? In other words, you can see it's obvious. And there's other ones too. There's a lot of, whoops. Well, here's the thing about Herodotus, but hold on. Good morning, my friends. Roger, Mudfossil University. You are in for the treat of your life. I'm serious. When's the last time you heard about Herodotus of Halicarnassus? When's the last time you heard about that? Or even Ovid or Hesiod? These are the greats. I mean, absolutely unbelievable. Wait till you hear what actually did happen. It is so phenomenal. And it's all about women. I'm telling you, it's just unbelievable. I'm going to start, just to give you this is just the first couple seconds of Herodotus. And this is a 10-hour book 1 of 3 dissertation. Now listen to this. This is just, I find this hysterical, honestly. Everything now is just starting to be very funny to me in life.
Paragraphs 1 to 15. This is the display of the inquiry of Herodotus of Halicarnassus, so that things done by man not be forgotten in time, and that great and marvellous deeds, some displayed by the Hellenes, some by the barbarians, not lose their glory, including among others what was the cause of their waging war on each other.
It was always women.
The Persian learned men say that the Phoenicians were the cause of the dispute. These, they say, came to our seas from the sea which is called Red, and having settled in the country which they still occupy, at once began to make long voyages. Among other places to which they carried Egyptian and Assyrian merchandise, they came to Argos, which was at that time preeminent in every way among the people of what is now called Hellas. The Phoenicians came to Argos and set out their cargo. On the 5th or 6th day after their arrival, when their wares were almost all sold, many women came to the shore, and among them especially the daughter of the king, whose name was Io, according to Persians and Greeks alike, the daughter of Inachus. As these stood about the stern of the ship bargaining for the wares they liked, the Phoenicians incited one another to set upon them. Most of the women escaped. Io and others were seized and thrown into the ship, which then sailed away for Egypt. In this way, the Persians say, and not as the Greeks, was how Io came to Egypt, and this, according to them, was the first wrong that was done. Next, according to their story, some Greeks, they cannot say who, landed at Tyre in Phoenicia and carried off the king's daughter Europa. These Greeks must, I suppose, have been Cretans. So far, then, the account between them was balanced. But after this, they say, it was the Greeks who were guilty of the second wrong. They sailed in a long ship to Aia, a city of the Colchians, and to the river Phasis. And when they had done the business for which they came, they carried off the king's daughter Medea. When the Colchian king sent a herald to demand reparation for the robbery and restitution of his daughter, the Greeks replied that, as they had been refused reparation for the abduction of the Argive Io, they would not make any to the Colchians. Then, they say, in the second generation after this, Alexandrus, son of Priam, who had heard this tale, decided to get himself a wife from Hellas by capture.
I mean, it's just, and it goes on. I mean, it gets funnier. I'm telling you, it's just amazing. And, you know, Troy and all that stuff, really just amazing. But you should read this. I mean, you know, I read it long ago, and I didn't read probably every little bit and piece, but there's so much in here that it's always been considered just silly. Because it seems silly when you read it. I mean, you read it, you think that's got to just be some kind of like romantic tale. No, I believe all of this stuff actually happened. And Herodotus, like he said, this is recorded so that it will not be forgotten. And it's been not forgotten, but it's been laughed at. And I'm not laughing, because wait till you hear what he has to say about dragons and snakes and all these things that I have discovered, absolutely discovered. No question whatsoever. And the giants, and I have them DNA certified. I have them in front of me right here now. So this is not something that's silly, and it's not, and it was recorded. And it was recorded by these ancient historians, Ovid, Hesiod, fabulous. I mean, Ovid, and they recorded like things like Medusa did. And all this crazy stuff that everybody laughed at. So you never hear these names anymore. I never hear these names anymore. They're the ones you should be reading. You read all these new guesses, they're just guesses. These people actually were there shortly after these events occurred. And let me just show you something, because you know about the dragon and the snake. Let's just take it one step a little bit further. Yes, this is incredible, my friends. I was just getting ready to wrap this up with one last thing, and Terry Ulmer sent me this list of dragons in mythology and folklore. Now, I've studied all of these basically. I mean, as many as I can, but there's just, look at this. Arabian dragons, Armenian dragons, Chinese dragons, Babylonian, Indian, Tibetan, Indonesian, Levitan, Japanese, Khmer, Korean. Absolutely zero has no dragons. A zero of anybody has any history that doesn't have dragons. They all have dragons. I mean, there's just no question it's a reality. Now, what does it mean? Where did they come from? What is their intentions? And they all have different intentions. A lot of them appear to be benevolent and have gotten along well with the people, humans. I'm looking into this. You know, you have to look into it. I don't know. I can't look into all of this stuff. I mean, there's just so much to do. I'm about. I mean, I can't. You know, I'm still going to go forward with this stuff. But I mean, how much can you absorb? There's so much. And thank God I have all of these people contributing that have been sending me things just like this. 10 minutes ago I got this. I just ready to post. And I'm looking for one last thing to wrap it up. Bingo. Thank you, Terry. Okay, I'm going to close the case. But I'm looking for the origin of all of these creatures and our existence. And what I'm really looking for is how it's going to end and the eternity that I hope is going to be good, and I'm going to get to. You know, I'm doing what I can to do what I think is my obligations, and it's to honesty, it's to truth, and it's just standing up for the truth. It's as much as I can do. All right, thank you. And you need to stand up too. You need to speak to people. You need to share. You need to, and if somebody laughs at you, well, laugh back. You see the Nagas? We found these. We found all of these things. They were here. It's time to speak about it, or, you know, just go along with the myth that you've been fed and just smile when everybody looks at you. I can't do it anymore.